full of 2-carry compositions, right? And that for me is kind of the X factor here. What is the laning phase going to look like, both for mid and jungle specifically? Eventually, Keen will be fine, right? Early levels against Aurora are going to be hard, but once you finish your first item, I do think you're okay in that lane. Can't wait to see.
Well, we got it going right here, guys. Game number 1 starts right now.
하나 생명, 하나, 둘, 셋. 젠지, 하나, 둘, 셋.
The stage is set, and we are ready for this best of 5 to decide who will be the champions of the LCK for this entire year. It all comes down to this after the format change. It's 1 grand finals at the end of the year. Will Halma-Life get the back-to-back from last year's summer, or will Gen G look to shut down that streak?
Our 2 international title defenders as well, with Gen G being able to win MSI and then Halma-Life being the first stand champions.
Yeah, and LCK before that, the LCK Cup, that is, and of course last year's LCK, we had Halma-Life start off the year with a big, you know, continuation of the form we saw from them at the end of 2024, but there was a bit of a dip and it became Gen G dominance through the middle, and yet Hanwha coming as the stronger seed here in the grand final. So it feels like we have a lot of balance here amongst these 2 squads who, as is already previously mentioned, have a lot of shared history amongst players as well. So, you know, people I think forget the Hanwha-Life esports Chovy days, but it wasn't that long ago. This guy was representing Korea on a lower seed LCK team alongside Morgan.
I still can't believe that lineup is real, and the fact they made quarterfinals at Worlds.
Yeah.
Very silly.
Well, they did have Chovy on the team, and he's here on this team, and I think his role as the Rise in this draft, it was the first pick on red side to handle the Orianna and to be a farming menace and to just control the side lanes. I think a lot of the onus in this game will come down to Chovy as one of the 2 carries of the composition of Gen G.
The one advantage that I do think is there early for Gen G is that outside of the Poppy, I think their single target lockdown with Vi, Ryze, and Nico specifically is really lethal. I'm also going to be looking closely. As I say that, look at that. Already in the bot lane, Peanut is waiting, just clear the spot side jungle. This should come as no surprise. He's been very consistent with this, but I think that Gen G, I have a suspicion.
The flash comes in, Duro is in a bit of trouble. He is going to get away, but now the follow-up from Peanut is right there. And Duro, with the red buff ticking, they'll give this kill right over to Viper, and immediately Halma-Life Esports are on the board.
This is what Peanut does best. He sees a lane that has prio, and he heads straight there in his early pathing, heads down here to the bottom lane, knows the pushing Nico is there, and even though there's a ward there for Gen G, they're unable to react quickly enough. A little bit of greed with that strong push in the bottom lane is punished heavily by Peanut. Now, they did have to commit summoners in order to get this done, but they got both of Duros as well as the kill.
And now we got Hex Flash maybe in the mid lane. Peanut setting up for this one. Chovy probably gonna have to flash. Doesn't even do it. Accepts his fate, and Zeka picks up a kill. Both the carries already online for Halma-Life.
And in the trash talk video, Kenyon said, "That's fine, Peanut. You can do whatever you want. I'll finish your jungle." He can't. Peanut just gonna finish his entire top side. He's gonna clear without a care in the world. And already Halma-Life popping off. And I was talking about the expectation for Gen G. This is a 2-carry composition. You need your AD carry and your mid laner to do well. They've both been killed already.
You can see Peanut's stats on the Poppy, but it doesn't tell the full story of how much experience he has on this pick. It is an iconic Peanut pick over the years. Has the flash here to catch Duro, post-flash, and he gives the kill over to Viper. And then the immediate follow-up in mid with the Hex Flash. He catches Chovy off guard here as well. And secondly, not taking the kill, giving it right over, hand-feeding it to Zeka. So as you mentioned, both of these carries already accelerated here pre-4 minutes in the beginning of this series.
But you should have known. It's been the Poppy. He did this on Gen G for the entirety of 2023.
But why does it feel like every time he plays Poppy, the opponents just don't seem to get a read? It's like, oh, well, yeah, he's playing Poppy. We don't know where he's going to come in. We don't know where he's going to gank. It's like he's invisible. It's
an additional passive. It's just, we forget about Peanut Poppy. He appears on the Rift, never seen it before.
We didn't forget.
we knew about it in the draft, yeah.
And the thing is, he does this so consistently, but it's both the lanes that had the pressure point, right, where Gen G were pushing a little bit too far, and he's just like, no, you can't be there. And now we have the teleport here for Zeus, who's also winning his lane. He doesn't need help. He gets back up here to the top side to continue that advantage. Canyon is going to try to start this Dragon up here. Does not have the backup of Chovy, but it looks like with the control that Nico provides in this bottom lane, he will get away with it.
Interestingly enough, the stats we just had on your screen was that Rel is on a 5-game winning streak, whereas Nico's on a 5-game losing streak. So in playoffs, that's kind of in the way it has been rolling for both of those supports. Doesn't necessarily mean that it'll continue, but either the streak continues or it gets broken right here for both of those support picks.
We also have Keen just struggling against Zaze, which again is to be expected. That's just a given in this matchup. Again, I think that once you finish your first item, you're in a much better spot. Once you get Hollow Radiance, I don't think Keen is really going to be too bothered, and when you have enough stacks on the W. But that means that basically right now there's 3 losing lanes for Gen G, and that's where we've really seen them struggle, when they're still trying to make those classic Gen G plays, play aggressively for objectives. And I think that they're still in a position now where we could see them go for the trades, where we could see them go for the cross map. But a couple more kills go in the way of Humba, and this composition is just going to get stat checked really hard.
I mean, look at how much is already going to be lost here for Keen. He does not commit his ultimate, at least not initially here, to get back to that bottom lane. He is going to use it now, but still a lot of farm lost here in a lane where he's already 15 CS behind. I think the idea with this Scion pick, we know it's not going to beat the Aurora. Obviously, you need to go Grasp here. You're not going to get that many stacks, but you know, a lot of melees will actually go Electrocute to counter like Ambessa does in this matchup, but you can't do that as Scion. And he's like, well, I'm going to have 2 winning lanes, so I can just be the rock here in the top lane. But Peanut said, you're not having 2 winning lanes because I visited both of them and took that advantage away. And so the Scion is not functioning in the draft as it was supposed to here for Gen G in this early game.
Yeah, no, we didn't have any Viper swap in this game, so the 2 bottom lanes are just going to end up in the top lane at this point in time, just joining each other. Gen G did end up with the first Drake. They got that first Hextech Drake on the board. And so that is one thing they've got for themselves, but still a pretty big deficit early on.
The 6 spikes for Gen G are really strong, right? Vi in particular, but even Chovy being able to make a quick roam. So I imagine Gen G is going to be looking, even though right now their position isn't great, to try and get a numbers advantage, use the crazy amount of CC and single target burst that they have available to kind of play from there. There's also the fact that we have seen mid lane has actually been equalized decently because Chovy has been Chovying, so even with the kill, gold lead has shrunk a little bit. We'll see whether Zeka can utilize that. Chovy was also looking for a play on top earlier, but Humble did respect that very nicely.
Ooh, Peanut.
Yeah, he's not going to see this on time, I don't think, as he's clearing out a ward. And actually, Canyon decides to just back off of the play. I mean, Zeka is Orianna, but he's got Flash, and with the jungler right there, they don't want to commit to it, so...
You think the composition for Hunter Life is so reliant on setup here? It's going to be difficult for them to actually gain access to these grubs here. Chovy does not have prio in mid for the moment, although that will change in just a second here. But if Gen G gets set up with those strong level 6s that you mentioned, Chronicler, it's tough for Hanwha Life, but instead, looking for a bit of a wraparound here on the Vi, setting a trap for Peanut.
Yeah, I mean, they should know that he has started this one up, as now Chovy going to be spotted. They just go on a delight here as the follow-up just not there. And now in comes Hanwha Life Esports, just going to knock away the one guy, the support. And now the follow-up here on a Canyon, who is in a lot of trouble. Does get that shield up, though, and a bit of health on the follow-up. The damage not quite there, and finally they get it, but Zeka is going to immediately bite the dust. Viper also on the run as Chovy looking for more. Needs a Q, needs something, and they finally do get him down. Chovy collects the kill, and Gen G do strike back.
Just like that, Gen G back on the board here. A big win in the fight after the initial setup looked pretty good for Hanwha Life when the engage was on to Delight. They get the chase down kill there, pick up a ton of much needed gold.
And I do love that it ended with Duro just stealing away the crab. As we take another look, they don't want to invest too much, as might have a steal imminent here, but because of the Nico being knocked away at first, it looks a little bit rough here for Gen G. Canyon's able to stall us. They're still going.
Yeah, we got a fight in here. It looks like Canyon wanted to fight for the grubs, but he's by himself against 4 people. Says, I can take the 1v1, but not the 1v4. And eventually, we see that he gets 1 grub, but he loses his life. That's not worth it.
There's just no support for him here, even though Chovy had TP on the back, doesn't commit it. He's walking back to lane here, and just gets kind of unceremoniously collapsed on there and taken out. Fairly greedy play from him, but he thought he had the space. He thought he was safe. Instead, it's another kill going over to Viper here on the cleanup.
My guess is that he made a misread on the timing of the roams here, because Going in on this and just stealing the grub would have been fine, but it must have been a miscommunication. Maybe they thought that the light was going to try and catch the wave.
He's interrupted on the charge Q.
Yeah, but let's be real. You know Poppy is going to try and block you. You should see the collapse coming. So to me, that must be a miscommunication because obviously big mistake by Canyon. But it also doesn't really make sense for him to go in there and try and fight when it's very clear that he is getting collapsed on.
And Chovy, was backing at the start of that. And, he had teleport, but obviously the timing wasn't going to work out for him to join. So I agree with you. Definitely feels like a bit of a miscommunication, as you said.
It's a big mistake, though, because now the gold lead is growing again, which Hanwha is going to be very happy about.
Yeah, all of a sudden, just a bit of a weird play from Canyon ends up making it Hanwha Life Esports' game to control at this point in time.
Grubs are super valuable when you have a strong side lane threat like the Aurora as well, so this can be a huge issue for Gen G later on.
I guess they did get 2. I mean, I'm not going to call Worth, but...
Yeah, Hanwha Life Esports did pick up 2, so at the end of the day...
Oh, yeah, my bad. I'm looking at the roses.
It's all good.
Pranked.
Yeah, the roses are very pretty. Easily distractible is Chronicler as well.
It's also because it's 2 to 1 on the other one.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Come on,
okay,
guys.
Chronicler.
Come on.
It's game 1.
Be nice to me. Be nice to me. I'm like, Dur, I gotta
what, is
warm
today
up.
like kind of a special day for some reason?
No.
I didn't hear anything about that.
Oh, it's fine.
It's just a normal average grand finals.
Is okay?
Delay is wrapping around here with his ultimate. And we'll be able to clear this ward. It's very difficult to challenge this as Gen G right now, although Chovy has a little bit of a window.
Forever control.
Yeah, looks like Zeus is going to hop away, so he's fine there. But denying the TP is what's important, if possible. And Keen is just running down here with his ult, so he can join the fight if necessary. As now, we do have the teleport coming out, and the Scion is going to be ulting in. They try to go in onto the front line here. A ton of damage into Canyon, and he will be going down, but it's in a trade for the support as Peanut super low himself. Keen frontlining for the team. As Zeus kind of just has to get out of here. Zeka just zoning the rise, but not good enough. And Zeus will have to flash away, looking for the double dragon. Is Gen G. And can they actually lock it down? It's a massive shockwave comes in from Zeka. He only gets the 1, though. And it is going to be the Dragon going the way of Gen G's for Double Dragon.
And it was almost a potential steal away there by Viper there at the end. He's not quite able to secure it against the smiteless squad, but very, very close to really backfiring there. Massive shockwave from Zeka. If Viper was on the other side of the fight, that could have been more disastrous for Gen G. Instead, they take the Double Dragon here. As we move into this fight, you can see Delight has a pretty good angle here onto Canyon. They're looking for the single target blow up. The problem is the fight is otherwise very split here for Hanwha Life.
And the big difference maker is Keen, because this early on, he doesn't really take that much damage. As we can see, tanks multiple people, and even though Canyon goes down and that target fire is nice, the damage dealers of Gen G are still alive. And that's what it always is going to boil down to. As the fact that Zeka lives there as well is kind of perfect. With Gen G, they can't afford to get out there because then Viper would probably steal the Dragon. And this is what I want in my game 1 in the Grand Finals. Both teams back and forth, a lot of fighting, but Ocean Soul, particularly on champions like Ezreal and Sion that are going to be looking for these more drawn-out fights, kind of crazy. Even Ryze is going to become really beefy as the game goes on.
Yeah, it definitely does feel like this should favor Gen G. The Soul, it's not the strongest, but we're going to like it, especially with these 2 Drakes that they have picked up. And you take a look at where the gold is here for Gen G, even though they're behind overall. Ruler's getting really fed. He's 2-0-2. He's got double buff, and this Ezreal's going to hit his 2-item spike very early on. Right as I say that, maybe I cursed him, is now trying to go in and take down Viper, trying to take the 1v2, does get the kill, and now Zeus is like, well, I guess maybe I'll take him out eventually here, but still, the fact that he was able to get a kill in that circumstance is big.
When you have a 2-carry composition, it's looking pretty good if Ruler's one of them as he gets the trade, and that allows the cross-map to be favorable for Gen G.
Didn't end up being a caster curse at all there, Chronicler. He just outplays it.
Yeah, of course, they're not real.
They're not real, sure, whatever you say, Cronny. Pretty little crazy.
You're outnumbered here on this desk, Chronicler. Be careful.
Oh, normally it's 1-to-1. Oh, no.
Yeah. So Viper goes in here, and Ruler ends up doing a ton of damage. He loses his barrier. Ruler looks for the fancy play with a redirect on the True Shot Barrage to try to treat them up. Ends up getting the kill because he has enough damage here with the lead he has to take Viper out. Is of course, a trade in kills, but ideally for Hanwha, you kill him and nobody dies.
Feels like a bit of a over-eager play from Viper there as well. If he plays that a little bit more respectful and doesn't face tank the Ezreal that was already really chunking him, I think that just with the damage from Zeus, who is sitting at a really big spike with his first item and Electrocute, probably could have been enough. But Ruler able to find the kill. The rest of the map still looking good for Hanwha though. But it's these fights. I think in the last fight we saw as well, if Peanut can't find anyone to ult, and Keen can just draw attention in the backline, they don't have necessarily the best tools to kill a Sion in mid-game, particularly now that the first item is finished.
Yeah, might end up going back to that tier list versus counterpick conversation from Coach Kim. If he feels like the Sion is just that good and it felt good in this draft, he says, well, I don't necessarily need a counterpick if we have Sion.
I think it gets a lot easier when we get a little bit later into the game, and the Leandries that Zeus has picked up here already will really help. But man, Keen has gotten so much alone time with his turret. He's actually almost taken the whole thing out here, by the way. First brick on the line.
Yeah, he's definitely going to get it, and that means that they're one objective away from the feats of strength, as now he gotten engaged coming in, but that's on a Ruler. He's totally fine, and now they just turn on a Peanut. The damage is huge. They can't quite take him out, and finally they do. Canyon gonna pick up that kill. And Genji immediately turned the fight around, and Keen is having a ball down here in bot lane.
He's just ulting Zeka. He's like, I took your turn, I'm gonna take your health bar too.
I think he might have actually interrupted Zeka's ult, because Zeka's TP, or Zeka's teleport rather, is on cooldown.
Yeah.
I don't think he was able to join. Maybe that was why Hanwha Life played that aggressive, because they got the ult on Duro, and then if Zeka's able to join the fight, they could have played with a numbers advantage. Now Genji takes the gold lead.
Genji really just taking this game, grabbing it by the horns and forcing it into their favor. We didn't like their draft identity as much here, but they do have a really strong mid game, and they are powering through it despite some of the early advantages Peanut gave. See if that teleport does come through. As you say, you can see, in fact, it is available now. It's going to be interrupted in the minimap, you guys can see, by Keen's ultimate, so he's unable to join the fight as Peanut goes in a bit too deep here, and is kind of unceremoniously chunked out of the fight.
Yeah, I think the interrupt on the TP was great. The fact that he TP'd in front of a Sion is another question, but it felt very forced, that fight. You know, Peanut went in very far ahead, and I think even if the TP comes through for Zeka, I don't think he gets there on time. I think Peanut just dies anyway.
Maybe they could have looked for something on the exit. Delight did have sums available, could have chased a bit further, but I agree. I think that was and it's a big deal because Dragon is about to spawn, and now Genji have tempo.
I think Zeka might not have even had ult, right? Because he ulted the wave to try to defend the turret moments before. Either way, going to be a big charge here.
Well, that's going to be a Canyon right in the middle of all of them. Doesn't seem to care, though, as everybody's here for Genji, and they want another turret. They will get it. Zeus does not join up for a fight. He's just going to take his time on this top turret, but maybe now another Drake.
They have to.
Genji, get the free bottom turret, stop the teleport, win the fight in mid, get Herald, push it into mid, and then now have Dragon Prio as well. Won't necessarily be able to keep it, in fact, with some retreating members here in Canyon. Not quite in the area just yet, but Genji can absolutely fight for the contest here, which would be sole point for them. What a turnaround in this game.
And you can see as well, Keen, with the itemization that he has, doesn't care about either Zeus or Zeka. But at least Zeus has the tools to get away from him easily, as we can see there with the dodges. And the longer trades are still okay, but particularly with this build, Zeka is just not going to damage Keen. It's just not happening. He's looking to go for a build that makes him really strong when he's focused, but he's not going to be able to chew through the Sion's health bar unless you get like 15 free rotations as Genji trying to play for soul point.
Yeah, and we've seen, you know, just on that point, what tanks can do when they're kind of unchecked and unbothered, especially Sion and Cassante. Those are the two I feel that really can take over games if there's no threat onto them. As, yeah, a lot of setup here once again. Prio on the Drake for the side of Genji. We do have push in top, and so Zeus with TP is just going to rotate up there. And it's just the Salt Point Ocean Drake, so Genji aren't going to take any big strides toward this unless they have a perfect setup, which is what they're looking for right now.
I mean, they have it with this, they have a flash on their Nico, right? Ruler used True Shot Barrage to gain mid-prio. They have full control of both entryways, and Chovy can roam up to the other side of the fight. And so basically they're saying, Hanwha Life Esports, we're not going to start this Dragon just yet, but eventually you will have to respond. You will have to force your way through. Both top laners with teleport available at a moment's notice here, but Genji, so much power with this control because it means that Ruler can poke, he can chunk. It's so hard for Delight to find the engage angle here when everyone is so split.
And it's kind of insane that Gen G was able to take that early game deficit, get a couple of really good skirmishes, and be consistent in their objective setups, because their lanes were struggling early on, right? Peanut actually had a really big impact. But now what we're seeing is that in many plays, Duro's the one that's there first. Chovy's able to get prio consistently.
Duro kind of an interesting spot here, but they don't want to go all in, just onto the support. This damage
TPs
done for this Dragon. The TPs are coming in. The Scion from the left side is Delight not really finding an engage angle. He's just rooted forever, and now Keen is in the front line, and Delight is just dead. He's just out of the fight, and now the front line is immediately burst down. Down goes Peanut, as a bunch of damage coming in from the side of Zeus, but he can't do it all by himself. Canyon gonna get the Drake. Only Duro goes down. Viper hits the ground as well. It's a triple kill for Chovy.
This is the fight Gen G was looking for. They are able to eventually force Hanwha Life Esports to make a call, make a decision. Delight's trying to find the engage angle, but can't find anything, is rooted and blown up. Gen G gets soul point, they get the team fight win, and they'll take an Otacon on top of all of it.
And Hanwha Life was aware, they are the ones that need to pull the trigger, right? Because you will actually get poked down into Nico, into Ezreal, particularly in Ezreal as fed as this. You can't afford to just sit around. But as you look here, I want you to pay attention to how well Gen G is splitting up this fight. Even though Keen doesn't find anyone, it doesn't really matter. Peanut doesn't hit the ult, and with Keen there, the turn is inevitable. Duro creates so much backline space, and despite Zeus' best efforts, can't do enough because the fight setup is so Gen G favored.
Yeah, and this is another example of Gen G piling a 2-threat 2-carry composition incredibly well there, dismantling Hanwha Life's engage, picking them apart piece by piece, utilizing that prio, that control over the objective to allow the damage to come through from Chovy and Ruler, even though Zeus got into the backline, even though he's looking for the big ult, the big burst there, just not able to pull it off.
I believe this is our performer, Minju from Islet, who did do the performance earlier on today. Hope you guys did enjoy that. She's here watching the games. And we'll see if her favorite team ends up winning.
And for Hanwha Life, the big thing now is finding multi-man engages. We're talking combos for Delight. We're talking Zeka finding a big shockwave. The damage is still there. The team fighting power is still something that needs to be respected. But it feels like Hanwha Life haven't perfectly been on the same page in a lot of these fights. And it kind of started with that mid-moment where Peanut went in too deep. The interrupt came through. And now Gen G in control. It doesn't allow you to really play the game.
I love how Gen G are playing this.
All right, Peanut again trying to make something happen. They turn on him, but it is a trade for Canyon at least. But still, this mid lane turret is going to go down. And the damage is being done by Zeus into this Scion. He's got that Leandries, but it's just not enough, especially when Zeka's not here.
This is one of those trademark Gen G moments where, like, okay, Scion doesn't have TP. We got to play around mid and bottom lane here. Sure, they're going to push. They're going to get that top bounty. We're not just going to give it up for free. Let's hard commit mid. King can actually rotate over. He has his ultimate available. He can split Hanwha Life in half if they try to defend the mid turret. So we'll either get a fight win there, or we'll get more. We'll get the inner turret, and Hanwha Life Esports are forced to respond. Sure, they were able to get that bounty gold for Zeka in the top side of the map, but Gen G gets so much more.
The big thing for Gen G right now is to keep using the power of the sign. I think he's the strongest now that he's going to be, unless they get Ocean Soul, because I think we're seeing Viper is going to go for LDR. We see Crypt Bloom coming through for Zeka. I think this was an attempt at trying to save the turret. Obviously didn't end up working out. They're still down a member, and as highlighted, I think they do make the right call, just keeping Zeka in that side lane. But they need to win this soul fight, because I think that Keen eventually, once those pan items are going to be finished, is not going to be as beefy as he is now. You still have to deal with Chovy and Ruler, but at least Keen, I think, is a little bit more manageable. If he gets Ocean Soul, though, I don't think that'll really apply.
Hanwha Life, if they can win this next dragon fight or secure the dragon itself, it buys them a little bit of time. It doesn't outright win them the armor pen and the big damage that's going to come through later for Viper, some of the magic pen that's coming through from Zeka. But it is definitely going to be the first step they'll need of many to get back into this game with the double AP comp that they have. And I'm most worried about the carries here for Gen G, how well they've been played for here by Keen, by Canyon, and Duro, who's had some incredible zoning ultimates, as well as just really good position, threatening roots, threatening collapses, and has been able to get away with it most of the time here. That's so threatening. Like, if you have these fed carries protected so well, set up so well, it's so hard to fight for Hanwha Life. It's so hard to find those burst angles.
And it's good zoning ultimates, you know? It's not us going, oh, that was... They're actually creating space.
Real ones, yeah.
Real ones, Valdez.
Real zoning ultimates. the real battle.
I mean, we just
fought
showed
here.
Keen zoning ultimate in that dragon fight. I mean, it was sick. He's split them in half. He denies their entry, and this is a situation now where Gen.G are just cleaning up house before that dragon fight. Chovy can clear this top wave because the turret was taken earlier with the bounty. He needs to clear this up. He has TP.
This is such a good showcase of why Gen.G is so oppressive to play against when they get out. So Chovy, make sure that they get Bryo towards top side. They're going to set up for Drake now. I don't think anyone for Hanwha is going to really play towards this. Gen.G doesn't need to play for this Drake, and they're generating a gold lead just through the fact that that top lane is going to be pushing. And we'll see, they can just play for Nash.
Yeah, look at the level difference that was just highlighted there. Zeka not level 16 for this fight. Gen.G looking to fight a straight up front to back here, it looks like. Zeus is going to be found on the flank here. Gen.G looking to push in and looking to declare this Ocean Soul theirs. Will they be able to do this? This looks like maybe the most straight up fight we're going to have in this game.
Ruler.
But it really comes down to Hanwha Life Esports. Ruler is doing a very nice job of poking down, but Keen has taken a decent chunk here from the Corki, who is online. Peanut goes in, but again, that's onto the Scion. They're trying to chip him away. They're not quite able to do it just yet, as this one is going to be engaged right onto the front line. Duro is going to flash away. The Scion is taking everything up. Duro is down, and the Redemption is used. The ult finally gets cannoned away, but Chovy accesses the back line. Peanut steals away the Drake, and Chovy is unaccounted for. The shockwave, though, is pretty gigantic. But look at Ruler on the left side. Nobody looks at him. The fight is heavily won by Gen.G.
You finally got the Scion down so low. You're finally able to take out Chovy, but the second threat comes in. Ruler's over the wall, and he's at full health, and he is just going to clean up the fight. That's the win for Gen.G there. They lose the Dragon, but they've got their eyes on a bigger prize here in the Baron.
And Chovy, for me, was the difference maker. He was the one that set it up. I want you to look at how much threat he generates onto the backline here. Continuously knows he's on vision. The amount of damage that he does here onto Zeka, meaning that he can play as far forward. Viper can't really join the fight. Goes in aggressively, gets the kill, then Zhonya's, and then here flashes forward. And yes, that is into a shockwave. And then Ruler sees a bunch of tasty treats prepared for him by his teammate.
Yeah, I mean, it's really just the flanking rise is the scariest. On vision, as you mentioned, they saw it coming, but they had to overextend just to be in position to deal with the Ocean Drake. And yeah, they got it, but now they're 5,000 gold behind, down a Baron buff. The Rebel Baron power play very much online. You've got these gigantic carries on the side of Gen.G. The Rise, the Ezreal especially, has the largest gold lead.
And Chovy
has just been untouched this game.
He wasn't able to buy Zhonya's before that fight, but he had the arm guard. He has the Zhonya's now, so he's got that available again. But with his composition, also is able to get insane value out of Merc Treads. He's already so tanky, right? Because he has the Zhonya's on top of course, his Seraphs. This is the Rise build, right? He has Rod of Ages, but he also has that extra shield on top into this double AP threat. Like, the guy is just going to be so difficult to kill, nigh impossible. And you still have the safe Ezreal that you have to deal with on the other side.
We're also, look, it's 44-6 petals.
That might be the biggest lead we've had.
I'm pretty sure, obviously, they got Otacon, but that is kind of insane.
I mean, they were a far cry from the 2-1 petals we had after Grubs.
Yeah. Exactly. And I want to also highlight that unless Chovy and Ruler are standing on the same spot, I do think Hanwha Life's comp struggle to deal with both of them in an effective manner, right? So as long as Chovy and Ruler just ensure that they're never in the same position in a fight, the combo from the Light, from Zeka, might not be able to find them both, and I think at this point that's what they're going to be relying on. If they can just kill Chovy or Ruler, they'd be great, but these are either extremely slippery or tanky and with an arm guard.
Yeah, and you see how Gen.G is really able to tear open the map. As Canyon said, he's going to rip open the rift. They're kind of doing it here. They got the TP in the top lane from Zeus, who, by the way, still level 15. He's going up against solo laners who are 17 and 18 respectfully. And it's just really not online, it feels like. He hasn't had a big impact in this game as the team has been behind. The Scion has been much more of an impact in this one, we can easily say. But yeah, they just put their Baron into the other lanes. They're like, okay, you're going to TP top, we go mid and bot.
And sure, the LDR is online into the Frozen Heart that Keen's now been able to put together here, but it still takes so long to kill this Scion. It just gets bigger and bigger as time goes on in this game that if you're killing Scion front to back from a deficit like this, it just isn't going to work. As Chronicler said, you have to get the backline targets. You basically have to cheat the team fight, or you are just not winning game one here. They have been able to stave off this Baron for the most part here. Base is still intact, 30 seconds to go. Hanwha Life hoping for another fight on Dragon, but man, Gen.G are not giving up any control. No vision here for Hanwha on the map.
Well, Peanut's gonna find some. He's not gonna like what he sees as he runs straight into Gen G. And the amount of lockdown that they have with the Nico, the Vi, the Rise, is just not able to get away.
And it's been kind of the inverse. Peanut had an incredible start to this game, but I think as often is the case with Poppy, if you ever do lose control and you're playing Poppy from behind, it's not very fun.
Just gonna Scion ult straight into the front, and everybody gets delivered to the back line with the Realm Warp. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Over the wall they go. Zeus goes down, and Gen G are just rolling Life Esports now. It is an ace, and they might just end the game right here, 30 minutes in.
This is such a big shift of momentum here for Gen G already in this first game. Bit of a rougher early game, but they turned it around so hard and crushed Life Esports with a 10,000 gold lead here at 30 minutes.
Ends up being not a very close game if you look at 15 minutes onwards or so as Gen G run it from there on, and they take down game number 1 here at the 2025 Uribank LCK Grand Finals.
And early on, Humble Life showcased again the prep, the look at the draft, the prioritization. It all felt like it made sense. But once Gen G was able to find just a skirmish or two that was going their way, they really were able to run away with the game. And it kind of, again, reminds us, Gen G is one of the few teams that can run these 2 carry compositions. Now, Humble Life, losing on side selection is always rough, but particularly with Fearless, particularly with these 2 teams, it's a good start for Gen G, but I would expect Homa to be able to bounce back in game 2.
And I really underestimated the power of building magic resistance into this double AP composition on the side, and it worked out so much better in team fights than I expected it was going to mid-game and on because of the burst damage available. But with the itemization there from Keen, the fact that the Corki wasn't going to be able to really do a whole lot to the Scion early on, this allowed Gen G to, if they played it right, team fight nearly perfectly through the mid-game and onwards. You could see that clear spot that you were mentioning, Valdez, around 15, 16 minutes in where Gen G took control of the game. They never relented after that. And Gen G, they mastered this composition coming into this series. They knew exactly what they wanted to do.
Yeah, and you don't see a lot of Ezreals in game number 1s nowadays, especially with Fearless, but Ruler, he picks it up alongside of the Rise and shows its power, especially when it's just unhindered. They really had no answer into the Ezreal. The Rel couldn't do anything. The Poppy couldn't do anything.